Hi, I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and in this video I'm going to show you how to assemble this cute Frankenstein monster applique pattern. Here's how to do it. All right, let's make this monster. So this is the video showing you how to do this if you do not have a light box. So I've got all the pieces prepared. That means I've cut them out on the solid lines all around the edges, and I've transferred all of the dotted lines over to the fabric side of the paper, and I'm sorry, the fabric side of the piece. And a couple of these are solid lines are stitching lines. They are literally his stitches, but I am going to stitch over them. So I have transferred those using just a fine tip black Sharpie. It doesn't matter that it's a permanent pen because I'm going to stitch over it with black thread, so you'll never see that marker again. So we're going to start with his neck piece. So I have designed him, like most of my blocks, what I call snapshot style. So I want it to look like we've taken a picture of this monster and I've zoomed in on his face. So he has a body, it's just cropped out of the photo. And to get that look, I want the bottom edge, like the cutoff edge of his neck, to be lined up with the raw edge of the block. And that way, when I trim the blocks down to size and sew them together, that edge is going to be embedded in the seam allowance, and it will give it the illusion of being cropped out of the photo. So after the neck piece, I'm going to put his lower jaw. We're just going to kind of work our way up from that bottom edge. And I transferred, there was a dotted line on the back of this showing where these pieces overlap. And so I'm just going to, as soon as I get that covering up that line that I transferred, I know I have good overlap. So now I'm going to do the main part of his head. And this tucks behind the jaw piece. And again, I'm just going to cover up that chalk line. And then I know I have a good amount of overlap there, and I just want it centered in there. So now I've got a couple of teeth that are going to be sticking up out of there, and I will tuck those also behind the jaw, and I'm just going to tuck them until that line I transferred is covered up. This one has quite a few small pieces in it, and some of them are very similar in size and shape to each other. So if you have any questions about what piece is what once you cut them apart, the placement guide has all of the pieces identified with numbers, and then those numbers will be on the back of each piece. So for example, I'm going to do the left ear right now, which is piece number 6. And that just tucks behind his ear, his head, and it is kind of level with the nostrils. So we're going to do his other ear on his other side. All right, now I'm going to do, you know what, I'm going to go back down here and I'm going to do his bolts coming out of the sides of his neck. So we've got one that tucks in behind on this side, and one that tucks in on this side. And then they have kind of knobs on the ends of them. And those are just going to sit on top of the bolts. So I used the same fabric for both pieces of the bolts, the same shade of gray, the same hue, I should say. These are the elephant blenders, but I did 2 different prints for it to help distinguish between the pieces. There we go. And I did the same thing with all of the face pieces. These are all peridot blenders, and it's just different designs within that color. So now we're going to do his eyes. So this is piece number 15. So it is his right eye. And 14 is his left eye. may do a little adjusting of those once I get his unibrow in there. But coming up next, I've got a couple of nostril pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and put them where they go. And they are identical, so it doesn't matter which one goes on which side of his nose. The eyes only matter because the pupils are in slightly different places, and I do have those marked. If you look at classic photos of the Frankenstein monster from the movies, his nose is very upturned and the nostrils are really prominent. So I was looking at that when I designed him, and so I just gave him nostrils instead of a nose proper. All right, so this is one pupil. And I'm just gonna kind of line those up with the top of the eye. I don't want them to be centered. I want them to be, the top edges of them to be covered by his unibrow to give him that distinctive look. So now comes the unibrow, which is super fun. And we're just gonna cover the top edge of the eyes and also the pupils. And now he just gets one more piece, and that is his very stylish haircut. And again, I'm just going to lay that down so that it covers all those chalk lines, and then I know that is good coverage. All right, I am going to carry this over to my ironing board. I'm just going to lift it very carefully, carry it over to my ironing board, fuse everything in place. I'll do all of the outline stitching on it, and then I will bring it back and show you the finished block, and also show you one more version that I did with slightly, very slightly different colors. Okay, here is the finished Frankenstein monster. So this is the brightest version that I did. The monster is a bright peridot green. This is from my Gemstones collection, all of these green fabrics. And the background is the purple from the Classic Rainbow collection, and this is the medium purple. So I've got another version that I made. This one I think of as a little more of a baby version, if you want to make a baby monster quilt or a baby Halloween quilt. So this one I used the light version of the purple. These are the pre-printed blocks that I have that have the quilting lines printed right on the fabric. And then this monster is made with the green fabrics, also from the Classic Rainbow collection. So all of these are from greens. And then I've got one more version that I made. So this is a version that I made. I'm thinking about doing a bundle of all of the classic movie monsters. So in this one, I did the monster all in black and white. So these are all shades of gray from the Elephant blenders. So it's the same hue, just different tints and shades. And then the background block is a bright green, also from that Classic Rainbow collection. So it is just bright, pure, saturated green. So those are the three different versions that I made. I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and I will see you next time.